Hi everybody, this is Patrick, and I'm making this video in response to a continued use of unintentional plagiarism in papers in my Speech 1318 class. I am positive it's unintentional because much of the time when you're misciting, you are actually using some form of citation, but you're not being complete. To be clear, what plagiarism is misrepresenting, not representing properly, or not giving credit at all for ideas and words that are not your own. This is a serious breach of academic integrity and honesty, and that's why it's really important that you understand what plagiarism is and how to avoid it. So that's what this video is going to do for you. So let's talk about some common forms of unintentional plagiarism first. Probably one of the easiest to avoid is people who just leave off a reference page. When you leave off a reference page, you make it impossible for whoever is reading the paper to then go look up where you got your information from. You need a reference page because this tells the reader where they can find the information. If you don't tell us where to find the information, obviously we can't find it, and therefore you're not giving credit where credit is due. The next thing that people are often not doing is they're not using quotation marks around direct quotations. Anytime you have basically 3 or more words in a row, you should put quotation marks around it. If they're words from a book, you have to put those quotation marks around them. Another thing that people are doing with quotations is they're misrepresenting direct quotations. So they'll put quotation marks around words that are not direct quotations. The problem with that is that you are misrepresenting what the original author said. When you use quotation marks, the assumption from the reader is that those are the direct words of somebody else. But if you've put quotation marks around words that the author didn't say, you're lying. You're saying something that didn't happen, that this person said these things exactly, but they didn't say those things. That's misrepresentation. It's a form of academic dishonesty. The final thing that people are doing, this is probably the most common, is paraphrasing without citations. That is, using paraphrases but not actually citing those paraphrases. Anytime you mention a concept that is from a book that you have read for that research, you just bring up a concept in a sense, you should cite it. That includes taking entire concepts and rewording them in your own words, of course, but more commonly people are just mentioning concepts and failing to cite them. So let's cover a little bit about this now. So what I've done is I've taken a paper from a previous semester. This paper actually did a pretty good job, but what I've done is I've taken out some of their citations and I've changed some of their citations to illustrate what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to these highlighted areas. Of course, you shouldn't highlight your paper. These are just illustrations so that I could find quickly. So this first one here is obviously cited from Corey Floyd's book on page 285. And it says, attraction by proximity refers to how closely together people live or work and how often they interact. I think that should be they. I'm going to put a Y there. How often they interact. Now, if you have your book with you, I want you to pause the video right now and go look up page 285 and check this citation to see if this is cited properly or not. So go ahead and I'll pause the video for a moment so you can go do that. Go ahead and pause. Now I'm on page 285 right now. And what I've discovered is that there is on page 285 of edition 2 of this book, the exact words, how closely together people live or work and how often they interact is a direct quotation from the book. So really, this is a quotation. You need quotation marks around it. If you don't have those quotation marks, the reader assumes that those are your own words, just Corey Floyd's idea. But in fact, these are Corey Floyd's words, not just his idea. So it's important that you put quotation marks around them just like that. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. The second thing we're going to look at is we're going to scroll down a little bit. Is this right here? Floyd 2011 discusses the theory of social penetration, which is a theory that predicts that as relationships develop, communication increases in depth and breadth, page 95. By the way, you're looking at this and going, that doesn't look like a real, the correct citation format. That's actually very correct. If you use the author's name in the paper like this, you put the year right after it, and then you put the page at the end. So technically, this is a correct citation as far as formatting. However, let's go to the page and see if this is the direct quotation that is on page 95. So go ahead and I'll pause the video and go look it up if you need to. So I'm on page 95 now, and I'm looking at the definition of social penetration theory, which is on the right side of the page in the little sidebar there. And it says social penetration theory, a theory that predicts that as relationships develop, communication increases in breadth and depth. Okay, so here's the problem is you have a quotation mark right here and a quotation mark right here. This indicates that this entire sentence is in this book, but clearly it's not. It would be weird because if Floyd was referring to himself, that would be odd probably. So we can probably guess that this quotation mark does not belong there. So I'm going to delete that one. And I'm going to find where this quotation begins. It's right here. This is where the quotation actually begins. So, Floyd discusses the theory of social penetration, which is a theory that predicts that as relationships develop, communication increases depth and breadth. That is now a correct citation. Very good job. All right, let's move down to the next one. All right, so in this one, there's a paragraph. It's talking here. It actually cites this article right here. This is actually an incorrect citation. We don't use this when we're citing, but that's neither here nor there. Instead, there should be a page number right here because you need page numbers anytime you have a citation. So whatever that page number might be, that's probably not it, but just giving an example. Well, let's go a little further down and look for our next citation. And in fact, you can see in this entire paragraph, there's only one citation, and that's for this Sugarman article. So let's see if there's anything in this paragraph that might look like it needs some kind of a citation. It's talking about families, it's talking about nuclear families, it's talking about traditional families, it's talking about genetics and legal ties. The thing is, there are several things in this that come from the book. This right here comes from the book. This right here comes from the book. Let's see, legal ties and genetics comes from the book. So these three concepts all come from the book. So they're all from chapter 10. So if you want, you can pull out your book and look up chapter 10. You can pause the video while you do that. And if you go to a page, I am looking up the page right now. If you go to page 332, 333, and 334, as well as 335, 336, you're going to find some of these words. For example, nuclear family is on page 335. Role behaviors is on page 334. Genetics and legal ties are on 333. So really, we need three citations. We need a citation here. We need a citation here. And we need a citation here. Why? Because these are all from different pages in the same chapter, but they're different pages. So that's why we need three different citations, because these are three different pages. So that is the last example here of this is paraphrased information that doesn't have a citation. That would be considered plagiarism. Okay, so that's all I'm going to look at for right now. What I want to go over next is how to avoid plagiarism, or what I call plagiarism proofing. You know how you proofread for the quality of a paper? You need to proofread for plagiarism as well. So let's talk about how to do that. For this, I would grab a piece of paper and take some notes so that you can do this for your final papers that are coming up in this class. So go ahead and grab a piece of paper. You can pause if you need to. The first thing that you should do is look for a reference page. Just go to the last page and see if there's a reference page there. That's very easy to do, right? The second thing you should do is look up the items you have cited. So scan your paper, find everything where there's a citation, and go to the page in the book where it's cited from. Double check to see if you've copied any words. So if it's a quotation, is it quoted accurately? Do you have the exact wording from the book exactly correct? Is there any words that you've added to this quotation, if it's a quotation? If it's a paraphrase, are there 3 or more consecutive words in that paraphrase? Because if there is, you need to put quotation marks around it, or you need to reword it until there are no 3 or more consecutive words in that sentence. Okay. The third thing you should do is scan the paper for ideas or concepts that are not originally your own. All right. That's like that last thing we found where we found nuclear family and we found genetic ties. Those were not originally that person's ideas. Those are ideas that she got from the book. So if these ideas or concepts that are not originally your own, they are considered paraphrasing and should have a citation next to it. So fix it. Because if you turn in a paper that has concepts that you have not cited, you will receive a plagiarism charge. The plagiarism charge is extremely large. And in the case of our final application paper, it will be a 0 on the paper, even if you did not intend to. To be clear, none of these are intentional plagiarism. These are all mistakes, but mistakes do have consequences. So it's important that you understand that. The final thing I want to talk about, sorry about the weird edit there. I don't know how far I got before that happened. Anyway, I'm going to go over umbrella citations, which is a way to avoid excessive citations. Here's how this works. One citation can cover several sentences if those sentences are in the same paragraph. The sentences are all paraphrased. The sentences are from the same page in the book. Okay? If all of that is true, you may use one citation to cover several sentences. Now, the way it works is the citation covers the next 2, 3, maybe 4 sentences. The citation cannot cover anything besides the sentence that came right before it. It can't go 3 or 4 back. It only can go forward. Okay? If you change paragraphs, if you change page numbers for your citations, if you have a direct quotation, you must recite even if it's the same page number in the book. This is really, really important. If any one of these things happens, if you change paragraphs, or if you change page numbers, or if you have a direct quotation, you must recite even if it's the same page. So let's take a look again at this paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at this next page here. Okay, so see how we have right here, pieces of information are exchanged in small doses and a measure of trust is built between the individuals from Floyd, page 97. And then the next sentence is, the process of self-disclosure is gradual. Floyd, 2011, page 97. This is the same exact page number. So instead of using this citation, I would just put a period here, because this citation covers both of these sentences. It could cover this sentence as well, but you notice this sentence is from page 334, so it doesn't. It only covers these 2 sentences because we have now changed page numbers. It's also need to be clear, this citation can only cover this sentence. It cannot cover this sentence or this sentence because it has to cover only the previous sentence and the next 2, 3, or 4 sentences. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. Avoiding plagiarism is extremely, extremely important, and it's something I really want you to focus on for the rest of this class, because if we don't avoid plagiarism, we're going forward into your rest of your college career not knowing how to do all these things. Thanks very much for your time, and have a great day.